Bienvenue dans cette dernière partie de notre émission Le Scan. Nous sommes toujours en direct du GITEX Africa. Madame Trixie Loh, présidente PDG de KAOUN International, l'organisateur de ce sommet, est avec nous. Elle vient de nous rejoindre en studio. Mrs. Trixie, thank you for joining us today. So we entered this morning the last day of GITEX Africa 2023. After these 3 hectic days, I know that you have been in meetings non-stop. What can you tell us about the key outcomes of this year's edition and achievements of GITEX Africa?
I think we've always wanted to highlight the potential and the opportunities and the talents from Africa. I think over the course of the last 7 months when we launched the show, I think the mission is well accomplished. GITEX Africa is now the largest tech and startup show in Africa. And in fact, it is already the 2nd largest tech show in Middle East and Africa after GITEX Global in Dubai. It's a remarkable achievement by the global communities supporting the event. For us, the key outcomes is very clear. We have been able to attract attendees and participants from over 120 countries. This is not GITEX Africa. This is GITEX Africa Global. If you look at the opportunities and the collaboration initiatives and programs that have come out over the last 3 days, it has been phenomenal. So for us, it's success well measured beyond numbers.
Mm-hmm. And 20,000 visitors were expected this year. Did you reach that goal, or was it exceeded in these past 3 days?
We will be exceeding it for sure. But more importantly, I think the metric for it is not just the numbers and the statistics per se in terms of attendance. I think it's the number of new connections, the valuable, powerful relationships that the whole ecosystem has now been able to make through a platform as GITEX Africa. Listen, we have investors coming from over 50 countries. We have companies, 900 companies coming from over 100 over countries. Again, today it's been great to see so many students coming in here. And I know the learning opportunities and the exchanges and the trainings that are going on is immense.
Mm-hmm. And what about the main insights and lessons learned from this edition, since it's the first one in the continent?
I think I wouldn't say it's lesson learned, but I think is a clear testament that with very strong commitment, with very trusted partners, and very uncompromising determination, everything is possible in Africa. And I think we have shown through the organizing of such a large-scale event right here in a record time.
And if you had to pick 1 or 2 highlights of these past 3 days, standout moments for you, what would you choose?
I think the 2 major takeaways for me personally is when you go into the startup zone and you see the 500 startups that are rocking in there, it's raw energy, it's enthusiasm, it's that drive to want to win, the drive to want to learn, the drive to want to excel. I think it's been a long time that I have felt so inspired, and that's infectious. And I just feel that this shows us the great potential of what else is there in Africa that we don't know yet. And this is only the first edition. And of course, the other main takeaways for me is we have always said that Morocco is only serving, you know, the ecosystem in Morocco. Mm-hmm. It has been very clear again from the last week, for the last few days, we have brought in technology executives and professionals from across Africa, from east to west, from francophone to anglophone, from Europe. Everyone is here, from Asia, United States. And what it means is this is definitely the hub for Africa, and we are very excited to work with all the different governments and all the different stakeholders to make this the next Silicon Valley of the world.
We wish to see it too. Can you take us in the backstage of an event of this scale? You have worked beforehand, a few months before, in the negotiation part, and you took part of it. Can you tell us how did Morocco get to organize it in the country, and like all the backstage info?
It takes a lot to do a large-scale event of impact. It is very easy to organize an event. But if you want to produce one that has got significant impact, that has got lasting outcomes and is sustainable, it takes a lot more. You need a very committed government with a very future-focused digital roadmap. You need the people of the country who are very eager to embrace the product. You need the media support from everywhere in the world, the accessibility, the infrastructure of getting international attendees to come into an amazing country. You need to have great hospitality offerings for companies to be able to meet up after the event, and you need to have a lot of hotel rooms. You must have access to great suppliers who can pull off a world-class event. So again, you know, the working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here has been a wonderful experience. They have facilitated the incoming travel of so many, you know, international attendees. So it takes a lot to sustain the event, and this is only the beginning, and we look forward to many more years in the region.
So one of the reasons why Morocco was chosen is because it met these requirements that you just talked about. Yeah. So what about the collaborations and the partnerships? We've seen a lot of people do a lot of signings that have took place. What were the most successful ones in this edition? Can you give us numbers or any details about the partnerships and the collaborations that took place?
I think some of the best partnerships are probably the ones that are not announced in MOUs. There are a lot of meetings and partnerships that's ongoing and dialogues that are behind the scenes, as you said. Mm-hmm. And all this will be leading to future MOUs or agreements that will come. And this is what GITEX Africa stands for, is to connect the ecosystem, especially governments and the private sector, for the most creative private partnerships. And of course, even programs involving the students, involving the youths in terms of the training that they will be getting to prepare them for entrepreneurship and the jobs of the future, and learning how to think big and learning how to move fast. So all in all, I think that from what I know, there's a lot of initiatives that are in the planning as a result of the first meeting that's here. So we hope to hear about them in the next few months, and I think a lot more will come out that will crystallize at the next GITEX Africa next year.
In what sectors these partnerships, what are the sectors that these partnerships
I think a lot of sectors has emerged of great interest in the region here. AI has been a huge agenda, the social impact of AI and how it contributes to the economic digitization of economies. You look at cybersecurity. There's been great support and partnership between UAE Cyber Association, the Council, and DGSSI in Morocco here. I have been stopped by startups a few times to ask, what can we learn and do about cybersecurity to ring fence our business, because they are so young businesses and they don't really have the knowledge. You talk about fintech. You talk about sustainability that has come out with such a big agenda along with SDG. So there's a whole myriad of agenda and sectors. And again, what this represents is the vast opportunities across all different industries in the region. And of course, congratulations to Morocco having launched the car with between Noor and Namex as well. So and I think the Prime Minister has signed the MOU to build a big gigafactory. All this will be leveraging the latest advanced technologies going into Industry 4.0. So there's definitely tremendous excitement in the digital transformation journey in the region here.
And we talked about the opportunities. What about the challenges? Were there any organizing an event of this scale?
I think an event of this capacity and involving so many stakeholders from government to private sector, and involving communities around the world, it takes usually a good 18 months to 2 years. With everybody's support, we pull it off in 7 months. Challenges when it comes to operations, of course, because you need to make sure that we have access. Staff, talents, workers who have the right skill to pull off a world-class event. And again, I emphasize, it is not just doing another event. An event of a high standard that will meet the expectations of governments from the region and around the world. For investors coming in who are so used to the standards, everywhere else. And of course, for our international participants and the tech companies and the tech professionals who are expecting a good standard and a good environment for them to conduct conversations and have meetings. So all things said, the whole community between the suppliers, partners, and everyone in the ecosystem has come together beautifully. There were hiccups, but I think we all are able to work it through, and I think that's the most beautiful outcome of the whole show.
As we anticipate the next GITEX Africa in 2024, what changes do you envision happening between now and then, and how do you envision the exhibition contributing to the overall development of the digital Africa that we want to see in the future?
With GITEX Africa, the first edition, we now firmly plugs the whole Africa into the global innovation ecosystem of the world. Africa can now, through GITEX, access the vast potential of network of relationships that is most powerful and needed to, for digitization. You can now access resources, expertise, knowledge. And I think this is only the first step. GITEX Africa is an aggregator. It brings in everyone from the global ecosystem and the stakeholders and the actors from here to be able to keep that momentum that is so critical. And this is a very open platform between governments, private sector, investors, big tech companies, students, youths, and female entrepreneurs. It really, and also the public, it will capture the imagination of everyone involved in the digital roadmap. Remember that every company is a digital company, and every company will soon become a green digital company, which means the roadmap and using technology for sustainability and clean tech and green tech is long. So this is where all the action and the advancement and progress will be. Right here at GITEX Africa.
So that's what you hope to see in the next edition. We've heard rumors that the GITEX will only be held 3 years only in Morocco. Is that true, or are these just...
Well, I think they need to be listening to TelQuel and LeScan to get the right news. So this is where here I am. Next year we will continue to host GITEX Africa in Morocco. Given the tremendous demand and the interest and the success that has emerged from the first show, we'll be running from 22nd to 24th May next year back here in Marrakesh. And I think it takes a lot in terms of logistical and support from different actors globally to get an event going successfully in a destination. So the planning time is needed. So for us, now that everyone is familiar with Marrakesh and Morocco, where we are here now, we want to continue that momentum for another year. And hopefully from there, we have a bigger roadmap to involve everybody in the wider Africa as well.
And so what about the key takeaways you would emphasize, highlighting the exhibition's achievements and contributions in business opportunities for startups, for example? We've briefly talked about them in the beginning.
I think for startups, is being able to provide them the access and the exposure. But what we have learned from today is it does a lot for the confidence. Not all the startups here are going to get funding. Not all of them are going to be able to generate business. But I think what is very important is they must be able to access learning, access to learn how to pitch to investors. Ability to now benchmark with startups from around the world to know what is the competitive landscape. There are many companies out there who are probably doing the same as them, or who are able to inspire them to do something else as a result of what they have seen. There's going to be friendship that is made from here. There's going to be very intense interactions that is going to come out. So I think the key takeaway is really giving them the platform to network, to learn, to scale up, to also to get more sophisticated as they're going to be competing with startups from around the world.
So now that we cleared the rumors and that we will hopefully see you next year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for all the support from yourselves as well.
Thank you very much. Merci de nous avoir suivis. Vous pouvez retrouver tous les épisodes de cette émission dans nos pages YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook et Instagram et la page de Orange. Merci. À la prochaine.